than 200 miles per hour, it will take more than 20 hours for the giant B-36 to fly the 5,000-mile route before it touches down in Fort Worth, Texas. On the day of the mission, all is not well with the giant bomber. Despite severe cold and a host of mechanical problems, ground personnel are ordered to get the handicapped bomber ready for its simulated combat mission. They succeed in repairing a number of leaky fuel hoses, but 075's navigational radar is inoperable, and the doors of bomb bay number 2 are so badly damaged by ice they have to be wired shut. With less than an hour to take off, the order is given to load the birdcage and the Mark IV into 075's number 1 bomb bay. After 3.5 hours of pre-flight maintenance, Gunner Dick Thrasher boards 075 with trepidation.
As I was going to the airplane, I met one of the gunners that brought the airplane up, and I just asked what kind of shape it was in, because we had quite a bit of maintenance problems then. And he said, well, oh, it's okay, he said, but it won't ever make it back.
In the waning Alaskan twilight, the bomber lumbers into the air and sets a course for Texas, a route that will take 075 along the British Columbia coastline. Seven hours into the mission, 075 is halfway down the British Columbia coastline. At 11:25, the flight engineer reports that the bomber is starting to lose airspeed, when suddenly all 6 propellers begin surging uncontrollably.
We're really starting to lose altitude here.
In the rear crew compartment, Gunner Dick Thrasher reports flames trailing engine number 1.
Better shut her down. Shutting down 1. Superchargers neutral.
No sooner is the fire out and the propeller feathered, when 075's situation turns from bad to worse as engine number 2 erupts in flames. 90 seconds after the second engine fire, the giant bomber is dealt a fatal blow. Engine number 5 erupts in flames.
Hitting the extinguisher on engine 5.
In less than 10 minutes, 075 has lost 3 of its 6 engines, and the aircraft is losing altitude at more than 500 feet per minute. Full power is applied to the remaining engines, but 075 is still heavily laden with 15 hours of fuel and its 5-ton nuclear bomb. At 8,000 feet, Captain Barry makes a difficult decision. He orders co-pilot Ray Whitfield to do the unthinkable, to get rid of the bomb.
Roger. Cycling the bomb doors.
Whitfield tries to open the bomb bay doors, but they jam.
Testing 5,000.
To save his crew from drowning in the frigid Pacific, Barry violates his orders and turns the giant bomber east toward the Canadian mainland. After sending a final desperate message to the Air Force for help, the radio operator screws down the transmitter key to give search teams a steady radio frequency to home in on. Praying they are now safely over Princess Royal Island, Barry sets the autopilot to fly 190 degrees, a heading that will take the disabled bomber south and back out to sea.
Okay, let's get out of here.
At 3,500 feet and approaching stall speed, Barry gives his final order, and the crew of 17 parachute into the night. Within minutes of the incident, SAC headquarters in Omaha launches the largest search and rescue mission in Air Force history. The Canadian Armed Forces initiates Operation BRICS to assist in finding the downed crewmen. Fearful the Soviets may discover what's happened, the Canadians are told nothing of the bomber's deadly nuclear payload.
The reason why they're doing this is the height of the Cold War. There is a nuclear weapon lost. The Russians are probably looking for it. They're paranoid. So why would they tell the Canadians anything?
Hindered by a winter storm, the first 2 days of the search prove futile. A Coast Guard flying boat, equipped with high-powered loudspeakers, flies over Princess Royal Island, broadcasting the American national anthem and the message, "Don't give up hope. We are still looking for you." When the crew is found 3 days later, Jean Schreier receives an initial report that her husband Ted is among 12 men rescued. Nearly a month after the incident, the search is scaled back. After parachuting from the crippled bomber, the Air Force concludes the 5 missing crewmen drowned after landing in the Pacific. There is no trace of Bomber 075. When the 12 survivors return home, they are swarmed by joyous family members and a horde of newspaper and radio reporters. Absent from the reunion is Ted Schreier, who had mistakenly been reported as rescued.
Of the 5 missing crew members, 4 of them had streets named after them at the Fort Worth Air Force Base. Except the 5th, the weaponeer, the man who was in charge of the bomb, Captain Schreier.
When portions of the investigation are released by the U.S. Air Force 2 decades later, they reveal clues about what they may have already known about the fate of the missing bomber.
During the Board of Inquiry, they only single out one of the missing crewmen, asking, did the weaponeer and 3rd pilot, Captain Schreier, jump?
No one seen him bail out. No one could testify that they seen him bail out.
With its carburetors subjected to prolonged sub-zero air temperatures, the Air Force Board of Inquiry determines the engine fires were caused by severe carburetor icing. With half of its engines out, the crew is left with only one option.
The next thing I remember was Barry, and he told us to get ready to bail out. He says, first we got to go out over water and get rid of this weapon.
Unable to fully open the bomb bay, co-pilot Ray Whitfield ordered the weapon to be dropped through the partially retracted doors.
I wanted to get rid of it and blow it because at the time the Russians didn't have the bomb, and I could just see a sub fishing it up off the bottom.
In 1950, the U.S. Air Force releases its only statement on the incident, claiming there was no plutonium core in the Mark IV when it was jettisoned and detonated over the Pacific, less than 30 miles from the Canadian mainland.
If the plutonium core was in the bomb, Schreier may have averted a nuclear explosion by removing one of the detonators or one of the bomb's high explosive lenses. Even if there's no plutonium core on this weapon, there is still enough depleted uranium in this Mark IV to create the world's first dirty bomb.
Never told of the bomb's existence, Canadian search teams scoured the BC coastline, unaware of the potential for radioactive fallout. With a summer storm approaching, the team's final day on the mountain will be their last chance to uncover any new evidence.
What's that, John?
It's as though it's a kind of bomb rack, but it's not big enough or heavy enough for the Mark IV that we're looking for. But if you follow the wreckage that way, there should be something further up. Oh, there's a clasp here. This was a heavy one. It could have been used for an atomic bomb. This is the huge chain winch for loading in a Mark III or a Mark IV. I think we have found the top of bomb bay number 1.
It looks like it's been melted along with this large incinerated area around us. And you can see there's just incredible destruction here from heat. It's just been melted into slag. There's nothing left here at all.
Laird scans for radiation around the crater.
We've got something here that's a bit lively. Not too hot, but definitely above background.
Boy, that must have been a very intense heat.
This is the center of where the plane was destroyed.
Yeah, but it also looks like sections were ripped away by an explosion. The whole assembly, the shackle, the 4 sway braces, the massive size of it says to me that this has to be the item that held the Mark IV atomic bomb.
As heavy rains move in and shroud 075 in the clouds, Scepter and Clearwater descend into the valley below and make an unexpected discovery. They find a camp they believe was used in 1954 by the U.S. Air Force Special Operations Team which destroyed the fallen bomber.
Here's the point at which all of the cables attached for the parachute.
Littered across the site are dozens of objects ranging from food tins and cargo boxes to grenade pins.
Oh, lots more cans here, cans everywhere. Hey, look at this. Hunter Simpson's Cup. Haggis used to be pretty well the only restaurant at the time in Smithers. And I'm sure this is the final evidence. Hunter Simpson was on this trip, right in this camp here.
Newspaper accounts of the day name local guide Hunter Simpson as the only civilian witness to the Air Force's mission to destroy 075. But Simpson, who died in 1972, remained silent about the covert operation. Unwilling to give up their search for new evidence, the team spends their last hour before nightfall on the ridge above the wreck.
This looks like part of the radome, you know, it's same piece.
Located near the nose of the aircraft, they find the shattered housing of the bomber's radar.
The radome was the part of the aircraft that would hit first. Probably hit right here on the top of this little ridge.
It's here where Dirk Scepter believes Ted Schreier made his last valiant effort to save 075.
I'm not sure what happened, whether he was actually trying to land here or whether he just lost it.
There's no way he could clear that.